Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Imagine being 12 years old, already having 30 bone fractures, and wondering, why can't I just play like other kids? I'm Leanne, and I was diagnosed with brittle bones disease. Now, I'm running the Bank of America Chicago Marathon for Lurie Children's, so every kid can just be a kid.
Join Bank of America in supporting Leanne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportLeanne. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America.
References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome to the Birds of the Round Table for what is sadly the end of our streak of Victory Tuesday editions of the podcast. Never fear, though, we'll be back on Victory Tuesday next week, courtesy of the New York Giants. I'm your host, Shane Haff. Give me a follow on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL, joined by the rest of the crew. First up, we've got David. Give him a follow on Twitter at DavidNeesPHL. David, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. I'm actually looking forward to this show because I have no idea what y'all's takes are. We didn't say anything pre-show. Like normally we have like 10 minutes where we're just kind of kicking things. So this should be an interesting one because none of us know what any of us think about what transpired on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I was telling Ryan before you hopped in that I bricked my laptop trying to upgrade to Windows 11 last night. So
oh no.
It was a crazy day, but we are back now, barely by the skin of our teeth. You could say that I played better in the second half of the day than the Eagles offense did, but we'll leave that for later. Joined also by Ryan. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how you doing?
Yeah, well, it was a rough weekend in Philly, that's for sure. And it could be an even worse week if tomorrow doesn't go well for the Phillies. But yeah, it's... sometimes you're up when things are going well, and sometimes you're way down and you get kicked while you're down. So here we are.
I legitimately forget that there are other sports that exist. And so when you were like, it's been a rough week in Philly, I was like, I need to go to like the news websites and see what happened. And then I realized you're talking about another sport. Like I totally don't even think about it. So my apologies to all the Phillies fans who apparently have gone through an ordeal this week as well. At least it's the short week. At least we get a Thursday night Eagles game to look forward to.
Sure.
So, all right, well, let's dive into it. The Eagles dropped their first game of the season 21-17 to the Denver Broncos. Had a 17-3 lead at one point in this game. Give up 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to ultimately get their first loss of the year. A lot of stuff that we can get into on this one. Let's kick it off first with our top offensive takeaways. Ryan, I'll throw it to you. What was your top offensive takeaway in this one?
That 6 carries for Saquon Barkley is completely unacceptable. 11 rushes total. Obviously, 2 of them were by Hurts, but still completely unacceptable. Their run game is so just absolutely effed right now. They don't know what they're doing. Their offensive line is certainly a little banged up, and that obviously is some part in it. But man, they just complete 180 from last year with the run game. They don't know what they're doing. I don't know, and I feel like the run game, more than anything, more than most teams, helps set up our pass game so much that it was great to see Hurts throwing the ball and what he get, almost 300 yards passing, and he made some really good throws. But this team isn't going to go far if we're going to be playing like that every game, and obviously they lost. And their offense stalled out, and they didn't even run the ball in the second half with Saquon Barkley. Or if they did, it was one time maybe. Completely unacceptable. Saquon Barkley is a huge part of this offense, and it's practically malpractice to not give him the ball more than 6 times.
Yeah. All right. David, what about you? What was your top offensive takeaway in this one?
I mean, I'll choose something else, but the top takeaway is the Eagles cannot run the football. It is fair to mention that they were winning 17-3 in the third quarter with Saquon only having 6 carries for 30 yards up to that point. I think a lot of the reason he didn't get any more carries that isn't really being talked about as much is he was probably hurt. He ended up on the injury report. He is not completely healthy. And we have mentioned on this show, when you get hit within 1 yard of the ball going into your belly on play after play after play, he's taking a lot more shots. The Eagles aren't using the RPOs as effectively. Jalen Hurts is, a cheat code in that aspect. I've been calling it that for like 2 years, and they're not using it. He's not bringing the ball back in when he sees an edge crashing and stuff. It's just not happening. So the offensive line, I think, is the biggest takeaway. It's not just, Landon Dickerson being hurt. Cam Jurgens entered the season with off-season back surgery. He's not that good. He's still ailing, and his biggest, strength basically is getting to the second level. It's his athleticism, his speed. It's not his strength, and he's not able to really showcase that because he's covering for guards that aren't as effective. Becton was a mauler in the run game. He wasn't maybe as good in the passing, but Steen is kind of opposite of that. Brett Toth, if that's how you say his last, I think it's Toth. He struggled. Lane Johnson has been in and out of the roster, and he's banged up. I think for the first time in over a decade, you're seeing an offensive line that's just not the gold standard that everybody's used to. They're not as good. And without them, getting holes and creases for people to get through, they don't really have many answers. And when you can't run the ball in the National Football League, there's not much you're going to be able to do.
Yeah, and not to mention that the Eagles just have a complete inability to play with the lead. And it's funny, you think back to a few years ago, I guess it was back to 2022. Was that the year that we just had so many times that we had like 10-minute drives in the fourth quarter to ice games?
Yep.
And I think I remember talking about last year, the Eagles just weren't doing that. Like they wouldn't go on those long drives to ice games, but now they just can't go on drives, period. So I went back and looked, and in the last 2 weeks, the Eagles have had 11 possessions in the second half after having taken a double-digit lead. And on those 11 possessions, they have averaged a total of 2 yards per possession. They've gone 3 and out 8 of the 11 times. And they've only scored points on 1 possession, and it was when the defense gave them the ball at the 25-yard line after a turnover. So it's like, and again, I think it goes back to the conservativeness with which they play. And I mean, in this game, they shot themselves in the foot a lot. You had a holding penalty that brought back a 7-yard run that put you at a 1st and 20. You had a false start that put you in a 1st and 15. So some of these drives were, dead before they started, and that's on players and execution. And there's just not much going well for the offense right now. I did like that they brought back the little RPO flat, whether it be slant flat or the RPO slides. They ran a lot of those in this game. And if a team is going to play man coverage against you, those are great. I also don't know why any team would ever play man coverage against the Eagles, because Patrick Surtain's the best cornerback in the NFL, and A.J. Brown beat him in the first half. The broadcast talked about it. You can see, I mean, he was beating him when he was matched up in man coverage, running his slants, running those curls and things. And so, there's no reason for any team in the NFL to play the Eagles in man coverage. I would drop 7 guys into zone coverage, split field zone coverage, and make them beat you out of that, because they haven't proven able to do that. And the run game's a big part of that. The offensive line, it all contributes. I generally just think that the play caller is totally out of his depth right now. And, you hear all the time that winning cures all, and the Eagles have been winning, but there's still been frustrations boiling over. And, you've seen the stuff about A.J. Brown, and you've seen A.J. Brown maybe not running on some routes. And I'm here to tell you Dallas Goedert's equally as guilty. And you've even seen it from Devontae Smith sometime. You've got Jordan Mailata talking about we've got to get up to the line faster. You've got, all these voices coming out. And I think it says a lot. And I think this is where it comes on Sirianni, who does not call plays and is the CEO/culture guy. Your culture can't be this bad at 4-1. And so that's the primary concern, is you've got to fix those frustrations. And there's schematic things that need to be done, but there's interpersonal things that probably need to be done, and conversations that need to be had as well. And then the second thing is, I don't remember what the second thing is, so we'll just stick with the first one. I had another one. Let's just focus on the culture. Let's get that fixed. And maybe the second thing is you just got to get healthy. And it feels dumb to say this at 4-1, tied for the best record in the NFL, but the 1 seed, it feels so far away right now. And also, it's much less important than just getting healthy. And so you've got a 3-game stretch before your bye week. The Giants, the Vikings with Carson Wentz, the Giants again, and then your bye week. Man, we need some of these guys to get healthy. And it's hard, because 2 of the guys that are the most banged up are Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, who play right next to each other. And so that's tough. But I don't think Landon Dickerson should play for a couple of weeks. And, maybe
that's official. I don't think he is.
All right. And maybe if you can get him back out there in 3 weeks when you play the Giants, because he's healed up, you could get Cam off the field for that game and the bye week or something. It's harder with a center, but Cam Jurgens has looked bad as well. You got, Saquon Barkley being banged up. You need these guys healthy down the stretch, and this is a prime stretch to be able to do that. But you got to balance that with, we still need to beat these bad football teams. And, you also just getting some sync on offense. So I don't know how you balance all that, but those are some of the things that are facing Sirianni right now, is to get the culture under control and figure out how you're going to balance, this next stretch of games when you desperately need to get healthy, but you also need to figure some things out offensively.
Yeah.
Which Denver is not a bad football team.
No, not at all.
Right. They're probably one of the best teams this year that they faced, including the Chiefs. I mean, they're a really solid football team. And you mentioned, the offensive coordinator, the head coach. I think a lot of problems come from the scheme. I do think the scheme falls apart when the running game doesn't work. It's very problematic. And as far as Patullo goes, there's just no sense of tempo. There's no easy completions at the beginning to get Hurts in rhythm. And I think that's on him. And it's also fair to maybe question Jalen Hurts, who calls the protection at the line. He has the autonomy to choose plays from the play card that's sent in there. And, you just don't know. There's so many moving parts there that I know the easy finger point is to Kevin Patullo, but I think the scheme is Nick Sirianni's. It always has been, and it's 100% him. And I think like I said, the tempo and everything else, the sequencing, that's on Patullo, but it is fair to question, the issues that Shane brought to light, like the players not running routes and this and that. That's a culture issue. And that's a Sirianni, special right there. Like you said, the culture guy. So those are the most concerning issues with the team, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Brian, anything else you want to throw in on the offense before we flip over to the defense?
I don't know if it's necessarily offense specific. I guess as we transition to the defense, it's more team specific. But this year more than any, I can certainly remember in recent years, and I'm sure if I looked into it, I might be able to find some official proof. But they just seem extremely undisciplined. And it's the penalty, it's the dumb penalties. Like, I get it. Penalties certainly happen here and there. And there's, again, some level of holding everywhere, but it just seems like the level of penalties are dumb, shoot yourself in the foot, just complete and utter undisciplined. And yeah, that kind of adds to this, as you guys have been kind of saying, this culture thing that, we love it when we're winning, but, obviously, God forbid you show a little bit of, rust, in the armor there, and it all falls apart. So I think that's also a part of it, to go with the culture thing. And Nick needs to have a meeting, and he needs to get everybody, reset, essentially. And who knows, maybe this loss does something in that regard. I know I've certainly heard that, Hurts and Saquon and even AJ have kind of had a nice private meeting. At least, that's what was reported. And, again, those little things certainly can be helpful, but it's got to come from Nick. It's got to come from him just being, again, I don't think it's anything other than, let's reset. Let's start from scratch. Let's move forward. Let's get on the same page here, because we have the talent. We obviously have the experience. We just did it. Let's move forward and get these wins and get them the right way. And not
there's also
just
chaos. There's chaos at the line. Every huddle. They must be in last place in the league of breaking out of a huddle. They have no time when they get to that line. And that's a big problem with the play calling as well.
So what does that suggest to you? That the plays are coming in late?
Maybe. Yep. I mean, even the wide receivers are saying Jalen's trying to hand signal them. They're not seeing it. They don't even know what's going on. Yeah. It's because they don't have that extra 7-8 seconds at the line. They're getting up there. I mean, you see it almost every snap. 1 second left. The clock's expiring at 0 when the snap comes.
Yeah.
It's chaotic. It's just not smooth.
So if that's the case, then if Patullo's the one relaying the plays in, Nick's got to sit him down and be like, dude, get your shit together. Get the play in. Again, at this point, it almost doesn't really even matter what the play is. You slowing them down is preventing Jalen from doing his thing and giving everybody enough time to reset and get on that page, whatever the play ends up being. It's even if it's the right play, if you don't have the time to install what you need to install pre-snap,
and everyone doesn't know it,
right? Exactly. So it's pointless. You might as well be punting.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis Selman put out, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but great Twitter follow, at Dennis Selman 33. He put out a plot of the rate of snapping the ball with 5 or less seconds left on the play clock.
I don't even want to know.
And it excludes no huddle plays, because obviously you're going to snap faster, and kneel downs.
Sure.
And if you look at that graph over the last 3 seasons, the Eagles, 4 of the Eagles' 5 games this year, the top 5 games in the last 3 years in rate of snapping the ball below 5 seconds on the play clock.
I didn't even know that, but just watching, it is happening. I mean, it's just it's terrible communication.
Yeah.
And before we move off of this, I'm curious y'all's thoughts. Every time the Eagles have won the Super Bowl, they have lost a top-tier offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Marty Morningweg. Then they lost Shane Steichen after they went to the Super Bowl. Then they lost Kellen Moore again after they win the Super Bowl. And all 3 times there have been internal hires. And I know everybody raises Cain about that, but a big part of that is league rules. There's just nobody left out there in mid-February to hire. But is it fair to wonder why not one single internal hire has been effective at this? And is it fair to wonder, Nick wasn't good at this? Let's remember, Nick called plays when he became head coach, wasn't effective. Shane Steichen came in, totally different team for the year and a half he called the plays.
Yep.
So how do you mentor someone like Patullo, et cetera, to be good at this when he hasn't proven to be good at this? Like who's in the room that's that you're going to learn these things from? Just curious y'all's thoughts.
I think that's where, again, I would assume that as a head coach, you have a pretty good idea of your coaches and maybe the ladder to which they could grow as coaches. But I think honestly, it's something that you need to bring some outsider in who has had the experience in calling the plays, has a connection to Philly in some fashion, even if you just there as somebody to soundboard.
And Frank Reich too.
That would be perfect.
They lose every one.
Yeah,
but he did great. He leaves failure. I mean, it's a constant continuity to this. It's constant, and it hasn't been resolved. And I get, the NFL rules are tough. There's teams hiring new coaches January 1st, and you're playing until mid-February.
Right.
So you're behind the 8 ball. But they didn't even bring anybody in this time.
Yeah, I believe that they need to change those rules because it really does for not just the Super Bowl teams, but most of the playoff teams. You know what I mean? It sets them completely back. And
Philly didn't even bring another person in.
No.
It was just an internal hire.
Yep.
And I'm not piling on Patullo because I believe it's way too early to fairly evaluate his ability at this. I mean, 4 or 5 weeks into the season last year, 90% of the fan base wanted more fired. So, I mean, just to be fair, they scored 21 points, 16 points. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
But I do think it's fair to wonder how no one has stepped into there and just, been hot from the gate. Not a single one.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts.
Well, I think when you're bringing in somebody to take this job in a team that's already established, especially you're coming a team that's coming from a Super Bowl win, and you're expecting a new guy to that role. And obviously he's familiar with the team, but new in calling plays. And that's another level of that's just like saying, whatever job that you have right now, you get your boss's job, but then you got to add this extra something that you've never done before.
At any level, not high school, not
probably
college.
Really hard. Right. So that's why I think when you're in this situation, you need to try and bring somebody in who at least has done it with a modicum of success in the league, for this kind of first time, situation after a Super Bowl win or it's a lot. So the fact of the matter is, you're right. People have been certainly piling on Patullo and I think it's an easy target. I don't think it's nearly as much percentage on him as it is on a lot of other factors, but still, you're asking this guy to do quite a bit, something new that he's not necessarily used to. Hence why might be a little slower in getting the plays in. Now, obviously, that seems to be a point of emphasis, so hopefully that's something that continues to get a little bit better. But yeah, I think that number one as a coaching staff, that should be the number one thing you work on is getting Patullo to dissect what plays he wants to and run it and get it relayed in.
Let it out, Shane.
Good examples of a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about are all there in that game. You get the 4th and 4 that the Eagles convert that's brought back on a penalty. Well, it's a penalty because you break the huddle with 12 seconds on the play clock. And so Jahan Dotson with 10 seconds on the play clock is at the line checking with the official for his alignment and is signaled he needs to move up a little bit. But then because you're going to motion Saquon out and back, there's now 9 seconds left and you've got to start that motion because we got to the line late and you end up wasting what was a good play call with a procedural penalty that could have been avoided if you get out of the huddle quicker. And I get that that's 4th down. And so that's a big moment in the game and you got to think about it, but you don't think about what to call on 4th and 4 with the game on the line in those 40 seconds. You think about that on Thursday and Friday, and you should know on 3rd and 6 when you call a pass play, if we're going for it or not. And if we are going for it, what's my play call? If 3rd and 6 is incomplete. What's my play call if we're sitting at 4th and 2 now? I should know those things, and there shouldn't be that hesitation. And then you get into like, just Johnny and I always joke on our film show about just do more of the good stuff and do less of the bad stuff. It's real easy. But like, they run that same side toss out of shotgun to Saquon Barkley for 17 yards, his longest run of the year. They didn't do it again. Now, the play after that, they did a play action off of it and got a 7-yard easy completion. And they ran one other play action off of it. And that was it. Like, it worked. Empty works. Run it. Like, I don't understand why, like, empty is a cheat code for the Eagles. And as their offense was struggling and couldn't get anything going, they just didn't go to it. And all of those things point to Patullo for me. Also, just wanted to answer one question that I saw that popped up in here. Brett Eclipse was asking if I would say the detail-oriented issues that Johnny's been pointing out, like receivers jogging out routes, were an issue the previous 2 years. I do think people are hypersensitive to like the receivers jogging out routes thing now. Now, it's certainly happening more, but it always happens. And like, so it was the double move to Jahan Dotson down the sideline that he didn't end up bringing in. It was a great throw, almost a great catch. Somebody asked me why I wasn't upset with Devontae Smith for jogging out his route up the seam. And it's like, well, that's where we're going a little too far, because they know it's single high man coverage at the snap. And so they're running double moves on the outside. And you're just reading that double middle of field safety and throwing whichever one he doesn't take. So Devontae Smith's never getting the ball there. Like, he's running up the seam into a safety in man coverage. And so that's one that's okay. But then you get like that first 3rd down of the game where Dallas Goedert's running the crossing route against man, and he's very much live. In fact, he's the best option, and he just stopped his route. Like, there's a difference there. And so you're always going to get a receiver that knows like he is not in play and he's not going to sprint, and that's fine. You need him to go fast enough if it's a clear out route that they clear the space. You know, you obviously need them running if they're in play, but there's sometimes a receiver knows they're not getting the ball. They're not serving to do anything on that play. And so I don't mind a guy conserving energy here or there. It happens. It has happened forever. It'll continue to happen. I think we're really sensitive to that right now. But that said, it's still happening way too much in situations where it really matters.
Yeah. No, I think overall we're very sensitive to wide receivers. I mean, the whole A.J. Brown thing, whether, you put as much stock into it, as anybody, but the point is there's a narrative that A.J. Brown, when he doesn't get his, is not happy. And I'm sure there's a level to that, of course. Who wouldn't want the ball, especially when you know that you're good enough that you give me the ball, good things are going to happen. But now you have people and fans and everybody worrying that, oh no, if A.J. Brown doesn't get the ball enough this game, what might happen? Oh no, if Devontae gets 100 yards, but A.J. gets 30, A.J. going to be, upset. Like, unfortunately, it has everybody kind of, in an anxiety like rage, worrying about, wide receiver and them being happy, and obviously this offense isn't humming like it was towards the end of last year. So it's on people's minds. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, all right, we better throw it over to the defensive side of the ball, or we're not going to get there.
I might be.
So our quick defensive takeaways, and I want to lead us off here. You mentioned penalties, and man, I about jumped through my TV screen when Jalen Carter jumped off sides when the Broncos showed a tight end sneak on 4th and 3 on that drive in the first quarter. It's like, man, I understand. Like, it's a late shift. You have got to know the situation and know that they're not sneaking the ball. It was technically 4th and 2, but it was almost 3, like 4th and 2.75. And that's just like kind of emblematic. Like you said, there's been lots of penalties, but for me, a lot of people have talked about like the edge rushers and the pass rush. I think the real issue is the interior defensive line. Jalen Carter is not playing like Jalen Carter, and there is a trickle-down effect to that. I think the Eagles have a lot of perfectly fine edge rushers. Azeez Ojulari has been a game day inactive until he played in this game, and I thought he was fine. I thought he was decent. I think he's decent. I think Josh Uche is decent. I think Zadarius Smith is decent. I think Nolan Smith is a little better than decent. Jalix Hunt, that's been kind of disappointing. But like the Eagles have a lot of decent edge rushers. They're good enough. They don't have a superstar. Jalen Carter's supposed to be the superstar, and he hasn't lived up to that this year. But also just the rest of the rotation hasn't really. Moro Ojomo's been a disappointment this year, I think. He hasn't flashed like people wanted him to. And Byron Young is unplayable. You got to stop playing Byron Young. Every time I see number 94 on the film, it's for something bad. And there's lots of talk about trade deadline stuff. I thought Keely Ringo was fine in this game because people always talk about CB2 edge. I'm saying defensive tackle. If I was going to trade for something, I think I would go trade for a defensive tackle because you're not going to find you could find like an average pass rushing defensive tackle, and I think it would elevate this unit. They've already got that at edge. And so unless you're going to go get a Trey Hendrickson, which you're not going to, the guys that are available for day 3 picks, I think defensive tackle is the biggest potential place for upgrade in terms of bolstering the rotation that they have. Because I think these guys are playing too many snaps, and I think Byron Young, you just got to get him off the field. So that was my defensive takeaway. David, I'll throw it to you. What do you have next? What do you have?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. After the draft, when we did our draft show, the biggest surprise to almost all of us was that they didn't invest a premium pick at defensive tackle. I thought it was, something that was going to happen, especially with, Milton Williams. Everybody knew, he's gone. And they're not getting the interior pressure. Now, I know Jalen Carter's fighting through a shoulder injury. He's still doing decent, like on pass rush win rates. I think he's, that's great, whatever. But they're not getting the interior pressure. And Shane, alluded to the trickle down effect. And it's was on display in this game as far as Keely Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell, because nobody can cover somebody for 3-4 seconds. And Keely, I thought, had a decent game. He wasn't great. I haven't seen any of y'all's comments about any of this, but Quinyon did not have a Quinyon-ish type game. I think he gave up like 8 or 6 receptions for 81 yards.
Something like that.
Sutton's a really good player. He's a different kind of person that Quinyon, had covered up to this point of the season. But I think that is the biggest issue. That is the trickle-down effect. I agree with Shane about the edge rushers. They're not superstars, but they're good enough. And they get home more frequently, especially if they were having to double-team Jalen Carter like they have in the 2 previous seasons. So I do think that's the biggest issue, and I think that is the trickle-down effect for the defensive backs as well.
Yeah, I will say real quickly on Quinyon, I actually thought his coverage was pretty good almost all day.
It's just a tough receiver.
He got beat at the catch point, and that's going to happen sometimes when you're seeding 4 inches and almost 25 pounds. You would like to see that not happen, but I didn't actually think I thought his coverage was really good. He just got out-muscled at the catch point a lot, which it happens. It's unfortunate, and hopefully he gets a little more savvy on how to deal with that down the road.
That's the only part of his game he's lacking, quite frankly.
Well, that and the ability to catch a football that hits him in the hands. But I digress.
That's why he's a defensive back.
Well, as David would say, he's a C-back who can't catch very well.
Yeah. Do we give him 2 dropped interceptions on that one in this game on the same play?
I would.
That's what my son asked. He's like, does he get 2 pass breakups for that? I was like, I call those dropped interceptions. But
yes.
And again, just for everybody that doesn't know, I love Quinyon Mitchell. Yeah. I had him as a top 10 player in the draft.
Yeah.
I lovingly like to joke about the fact that he has bricks for hands. But
sure does.
Ryan, what do you have for us?
Yeah, listen, just to kind of comment. Yeah, obviously Jalen, Carter has not lived up. And you're right, dealing with a bit of a shoulder issue. I think not playing in that first game sort of threw him off a little bit, took him a little bit longer to kind of get up, to his normal play. But yeah, I think, somebody had mentioned in the comments how, we've been playing Byron Young, and why not Robinson? I haven't seen him a lot out there. Now, granted, I haven't gone back and watched the game yet.
He's only played like 4 snaps.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
It's hard to question Fangio, though. I mean,
listen, you're right. And I certainly wouldn't want to do it to his face. But yeah, listen, I thought, as you said, this was a tough tough game for the CBs. Quinyon, I thought, had one of his better games of his career last week, and then kind of follows it up statistically with probably one of his worst, just, again, statistically. And I thought Ringo did fine, honestly. I mean, would I love Ringo to tackle like Coop? Sure. That'd be great. He probably would have been CB2 coming out maybe, but yeah, it's, hopefully he can kind of grow on that and kind of build off of it. But you're right. There's definitely something missing because they just bled dry. Honestly, there's the last 2 drives there that they scored touchdowns on. It just seems like they couldn't stop a cold. Yeah, again, I'm sure there's a lot of factors that go into this, and probably being on the field a lot more than they were hoping to be as well.
After a Tampa game where it was 100 degrees on that field.
Well, yeah.
It's back-to-back exertion.
And it was a pretty hot day.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I was thankful for the towel they handed out pregame, as I used that to shade my neck so I didn't get sunburned. But yeah, I think, again, it was just a bad game to show a little bit of, I'm not even sure what the word is, but to, show a little vulnerability in your defense when the offense couldn't do anything. So, I think, again, 1 or 2 different things go the right way. It's a different game. I think they call one of those penalties or don't call one of those penalties. Again, could be a different game. It was definitely that close of a game, even with the offense not doing a damn thing and the defense, dry. But, hopefully, again, it's a short week. The Giants are the Giants. I mean, the fact that they embarrassingly lost to the Saints, and they're on a short week too. Yeah, hopefully people can get a little healthy after the Giants game, given the longer rest. That's really all I got.
All right, David, did I ask you for yours? I can't remember.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought I did. I just didn't want to skip you. So real quickly, let's go player of the games, and we got to flip it over here. David, who's your player of the game?
Man.
Just say Devontae Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the only layup you have. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
He's always a chain mover. He's always, reliable. Best hands, best routes, and yeah, he's the winner.
All right. Ryan, which linebacker would you like to take for player of the game?
Always got to be linebackers.
Well, I'm taking the other one, so take your pick.
I'll go with the Rook then.
All right, so you take Jahad Campbell. I got Zach Bond for my player of the game. Let's get out of this mess. Let's talk about Thursday night. Got a short week coming up, so we don't have to dwell on it long, but we'll quickly talk about this Giants team. And let's go with our top matchup to watch. Eagles offense against the Giants defense. Ryan, what do you have?
I mean, it has to be the run game. They were so poor this past game. And again, you probably don't have Dickerson, which again, I'm honestly thankful for. I think I was literally saying it in the stands, like, just let him rest till the bye. Like, just do it. So it's going to be interesting this with the troubles that the running game has had so far this year, and going up against a Giants whose front four is certainly above the norm as far as skill wise. So I'm not sure what their run game stats are off the top of my head, but I assume with the talent that they have that they're probably better than most. But yeah, that's the one I'm going to be worrying about for sure.
All right. David, what about you? What do you have?
I'll go with the A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Goddard in the pass game. I'll just add to Ryan, if Saquon doesn't get fed the ball a lot in this game, his injury is a lot more concerning than anyone's been led to believe. Because if there's a game he wants to eat during the regular season, it's New York and New York.
Sure it is.
Hurts thrives when he dictates rhythm with his legs and his arm. And what I'm looking for is just some play calling to get him going early. He had a fast start in this game, but a lot of them are shot plays. It's still not rhythm. It's still not, sequence rhythm that just is sustainable. And that's why you see them go down the field and score 30 points in 30 minutes, or they have 5 3-and-outs in a row. I think they lead the league in 3-and-outs. It's really bad. They need something that's more sustainable. They need short plays. They need, just sprinkle in some of the type of plays that apparently he drew up last week for Saquon, get the screen game going. Just they need some continuity that's sustainable at the beginning of the game. So that's what I'll be looking for is just, and in the offensive line play. Because if they can't produce some creases for Barkley to get through, I don't think it's going to be a long day because it's the Giants, but it's going to be a concerning day because if they can't make this look good against them, I don't know what we're having going forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, for me, I'm looking, honestly, the thing I'm most interested in, honestly, is the Giants defense, because the Giants defense play cover one, single high man at one of the highest rates in the league. And that's literally the worst defense you could play against the Eagles. Because man coverage is what the Eagles offenses looked good against. Like the EPA splits are something like it's more than positive 0.3 EPA per snap against man and negative 0.3 per snap against zone. And so I hope that the Giants trot out single high man coverage all game and for their changeup go to single high zone coverage, because that's what they've done this year. I think that would be a tremendously stupid approach, but I hope it's one they take. And I hope, the Eagles can kind of get guys happy because you have a good offensive performance while still realizing internally that, like, hey, we dominated the Giants, but it's because they played the defense we're good against and not think everything's fixed. So I kind of want to walk that line of having a really good performance, but also realizing that it was just a good matchup for you. But I'm watching to see how they play defense. And if they do elect to play a lot of single high man, I think it could be a big day for AJ Brown, big day for Devontae Smith. So, all right, let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Ryan, what's your top matchup to watch when the Eagles are on defense?
Yeah, I think it's the front four. Honestly, we've been talking about how the D tackles have certainly been underperforming, how the, edge seems to, they're just doing enough, I guess. But yeah, I think the Giants definitely don't, have an offense that scares you, especially the fact that, their best player is out. Their starting running back is out. But you do have a bruiser of a back in Scatterbo, and you have Jackson Dart who certainly likes to take off. So I'll be interested to just kind of see how they handle that, with a more of a, quarterback that can run and a back that's a bit of a bruiser. So yeah, I'd like to see them certainly get some pressure on Dart, but I also am more concerned about their ability to address the run game. And not that, again, that the Giants have a good running game, but I could easily see with a quarterback that mobile and with a running back that bruising, it might cause some problems.
All right. David, what is your top matchup to watch?
Spying Jackson Dart. I don't really think they have much else they can do. Fangio, spoke today about how, Jackson's a mobile quarterback. They'll use quarterback draws, quarterback design runs. And, maybe they don't blitz as much as they have this season. They've uncharacteristically had a pretty high blitz rate. Maybe they just spy Jackson a little bit more. I mean, his legs and his mobility is, his strength. It's probably the only way they're going to extend plays. I think, Fangio's late minute looks will probably befuddle Dart quite frequently, in this. So then he relies on his legs. So to me, it's just spying Jackson Dart and don't allow his mobility to extend drives.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing is what I was going to say. He hasn't been great as a passer, but he has rushed for 54 and 55 yards in the 2 games he started and a touchdown. And so if you put that on a full season pace, that's just, it's like 925 yards rushing as a quarterback with eight and a half touchdowns, 8 or 9 touchdowns. And, Bo Nix isn't a big time scrambler, but the Eagles had some big lapses in like pass rush lane integrity. And, you're less maybe worried about that with Bo Nix, and he made him pay. You're probably going to be more careful about that with Jackson Dart. So that's the biggest thing for me. Keep him in the pocket. Malik Neighbors is out. They don't have anything going for this offense other than Jackson Dart's scrambling ability. And so I expect them to play disciplined in that manner. I don't even think you have to spy him. Just be smart in how you rush the passer. And I think the rest of it will take care of itself. But that's the way this game becomes a little scrappy, is if the offense is doing the same type of stuff they were doing in the second half, and all of a sudden you're letting Jackson Dart rip off runs and get a little moxie, get a little confidence. You need to come in and shut that down early. Yeah. And so I fully trust Vic to do that as well. So that's what I'm watching as well defensively. Let's go to our picks and our player of the game predictions. And David, I'll throw this one to you first. Give me your score prediction and who is your player of the game?
I'm going to go 28-17, and I'm only going 17 because I think the Giants probably get a late fourth quarter touchdown there. I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I expect a big night both on the ground and through the air with him. I agree that, he's going to hit AJ and Devontae early and often, and their tallies will kind of be divided. So Hurts gets all of those for everyone. So I'm going to go with Hurts.
All right. So 28-17 and Jalen Hurts for David. Ryan, what do you have?
I'll go 24-14. Eagles. I would love to be proven wrong and for them to actually, put up some points. But, again, we've only seen them play one half of football in any particular one game. So until they do that, I'm not going to kind of go out on a limb. But I'll say Saquon in hopes that it's a complete 180 last week and they try to overcompensate and give him, 30 carries.
You think on the bum knee even? Trot that bum knee out there on MetLife and go after it, kid.
Sure.
All right. I have gone back and forth on this one. I just think the only thing that worries me is that you're probably playing Brett Toth. You do have a banged up Cam Jurgens, and the one thing that the Giants do have going for him is a pass rush. That said, if they run cover one, which I expect them to do, I just don't think that matters. And so I'll take the Eagles to come out and play well offensively in this one. I think the Giants offense just doesn't have much to speak of. So I'm going to go 31-13 Eagles and give me not Jalen Hurts. Give me AJ Brown for my player of the game. AJ is going for 125 yards in this one. And then we're going to have him and Jalen looking buddy afterwards. And that's going to be great vibes for the long week before they go to Minnesota and he has like 2 catches again and we just do the whole cycle all over again. But good luck. Good news is they play the Giants the week after that. So we can just ride that roller coaster. But so I think AJ Brown perhaps in for a big game in this one. So there you have it, folks. That is our review. A little longer on the review than normal, little shorter on the preview than normal. But hey, it's a short week and we know you guys wanted to dive into the offense as well. But let's throw it around the horn here for final thoughts and plugs, and we will get out of here. David, I'll throw it to you first, man. Tell the people where they can find you. Any final thoughts you have, the floor is yours.
Yeah, you can find everything on X at David Neese PHL. My only concern is just leave MetLife healthy. That field is where players' careers go to die. It's already taken Malik Neighbors this year with the torn ACL. So that's my only concern about going up there. Just get out of there with everyone's knees intact and live to fight another day.
All right. Ryan, what about you, man?
Yeah. You can also follow everything I do at David Neese PHL. No, I'm kidding.
I'll retweet all of it. So yeah, so we're good.
I kind of just I'll go and say the same thing. Let's get out of MetLife healthy. Let's get out with a win, and Giants are a great team to finally have that first full game where you come out of it feeling good, and so hopefully that's what cures us, and anyway, that's don't forget to follow me here. It's a little cut off, but Philly Sports PS. What am I? PSA, PSY? I don't know what I am.
It's literally all there on the screen.
Is it? No, it's not on my screen.
I don't know.
Public service announcement. PSA.
Yeah, there you go. Just go ahead and
you remember your Twitter handle about as good as Kevin Patullo remembers what worked 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Ouch.
So, anyway, it's just a special shout out to somebody. They know who they are.
All right. My final thought I'll go with Brett Eclipse's comment here. He says, crazy we faced the Commanders and Giants twice within the span of 3 weeks each. That is my biggest pet peeve of the NFL schedule. And I've talked about it for years, and I feel like the NFL heard me, and so they did it to the Eagles twice in 1 year. It's boring for teams. It's boring for people who cover the sport. Legitimately, just throwing this out there again, weeks 1 through 3 should be divisional games, and weeks 16 through 18 should be divisional games. Open and close the year with it. So those games feel super high stakes. They already do it at the end of the year because they want it to be high stakes so teams won't rest starters. Right. Open up the year with that too. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys to kick off the season week 1, that was electric. Like, imagine if you did Giants and Commanders weeks 2 and 3. It's early in the year where nobody really knows what you are yet, so everybody feels like they've got a shot. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So other than that, Mark and I are going to be going live here in a few minutes with Chalk Talk. We're going to break down all of the other NFL Week 5 action. So if you watched the Eagles game, you want to hear about the rest of the NFL, we're going to cover each of those games in about 5 minutes apiece, tell you everything that you need to know. And then Johnny and I will be live doing our film show tomorrow at some point. The time's a little up in the air, but it'll be early to mid-afternoon because of the time difference. But that's going to about do it for this one. Follow these guys on Twitter. David is at David Neese PHL. Ryan is at Philly Sports PSA. I am at Shane Half NFL. And we will catch you guys next time for another Victory Tuesday. I guess a new Victory Tuesday. Whatever. We're going to be celebrating next Tuesday. We'll catch you all then. Go Birds.
This episode is brought to you by Contentful. Marketers, you know that feeling when your creative clicks? When that social post sends engagement through the roof? When your outside-of-the-box campaign hits ROI positive? When a personalized homepage turns prospects into customers? It's utter marketing bliss. Contentful helps you create tailored omni-channel experiences without working overtime. No stress, no limits, only possibilities. Get the feels at Contentful.com.
Icy Hot Pro with 2 max strength pain relievers. Targets multiple pain receptors. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last.
Petivity knows every pet has a story.
Why is my dog's digestion off?
Could I have known sooner that my cat was sick?
Petivity is reimagining pet care to care more proactively for the pets you love. Petivity's smart products and health kits give you data your pet can't share, so you can provide the best care possible. Give your pet the story they deserve with Petivity. Visit PETIVITY.com to learn more. Petivity, powered by Purina.
Did my card go through?
Oh no. Your small business depends on its internet. So switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean.
Jif. It's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.